Okay, welcome to the That's Good Sports podcast. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys.
We're here.
We are here. This is an NFL podcast where we are going to talk about every game that's coming up this weekend, plus some NFL news that's happening today-ish. We've got Thursday night football coming up tonight, probably happened yesterday by the time you listen to this. Some interesting games this week, a lot to digest about the football season so far, but we are now partnered with Blue Wire, the podcasting network. So That's Good Sports is available every day. And then this hour-long podcast with Will and I, really, I don't know how to classify what we do, Will, but
I don't either.
Basically, if you're a listener, I would imagine your favorite football podcast, and then imagine one that's a little bit better, and that's probably what we do, regardless of what you're thinking of right now.
It's like if you take your favorite comedy podcast and then pair it with your favorite sports podcast, and they fuck and have a baby. It's basically like that.
Yeah. Now, maybe you don't love that baby. Maybe that baby is growing up to be a bad person, but that's out of our control at this point. Right?
We're already 50-plus episodes in, which is, in podcast years, that's like an 8-year-old child.
Yeah. And usually by 50, the hosts sort of develop a relationship together and a voice. We have yet to do that, but we're still we're very good, I would say.
Yeah, no, I'd say the relationship has gotten worse, if anything.
Yeah, this is
the chemistry.
We are hanging by a thread here.
Right. Thank God we have football stuff to talk about.
Yes. But the cool thing is with Blue Wire, there's a ton of sports podcasts that they have networked together, a lot of great podcasters. So we are happy to be with them. And then they are taking my YouTube videos and basically turning those into small daily podcasts. So this long one goes up every Thursday. And then the short ones Monday through Friday. And so you just got to subscribe to That's Good Sports podcast. That's the deal.
Yeah. And if you guys are big time New Yorkers like us, and you ride the subway to work every day, and you're tired of watching Brandon's videos while you're going to work, and people are asking you who's that hairy man in the sports coat that you've been watching on your phone for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah,
what's your problem? Now you can just listen to it in your headphones without anybody harassing you, except for possibly a homeless man.
Yeah. So basically, you get 4 days without Will Keys' voice.
Yep.
Except for some of the jokes that he writes that come out as my voice. But yeah, it's NFL news. I do not test well visually with a lot of people, so we're trying this out. Hopefully, people dig it. If they catch on to that as fast as they caught on to my YouTube channel, 7 years from now, we will be very optimistic about this endeavor.
I'll be 30 years old. You'll be 50.
Whoa, I'll be 40, bro.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no.
Jesus. Don't scare. I almost believed you at first. Anyway, let's jump into this. Let's jump into talking about not me being 50.
Yeah. Speaking of very high numbers, Patrick Mahomes could sign a deal above $200 million this offseason.
We're both Adam Schefter.
Right, Adam Schefter.
What do we always have to say per? We know it's either Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport.
I don't think people are assuming that we're the ones that reported this news.
No, I know that. But don't we just assume all news comes from either of those two guys, basically? Every now and then a local guy breaks some shit, but it's either those two guys. And my question is, do they have the same sources? And do those sources decide I'm calling Adam first or I'm calling Ian Rappaport first today?
Honestly, I think they get texted probably at the same time. And it's just, I think a lot of it comes down to who tweets it first.
Yeah, no, it's who's got their phone ready and
Right.
it isn't in the middle of doing like a live segment for ESPN or NFL Network.
Which honestly, let's be real, it sounds like a terrible way to live your life. That sounds so.
Oh God, that job's got to be draining.
I don't think Ian Rappaport, how do they sleep?
I'm getting close to catching them in terms of, I do a show every day now, Will.
Yeah, true. And then,
I'm taking all of their information and then we're trying to write jokes for it, which is way fucking harder than just reporting things.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, first of all, we should be paid more.
Exactly. That's the point.
Because we're taking the work that they've done and making it slightly better.
Slightly.
Yeah.
And slightly different. It's like.
Yeah, harder to consume.
Yeah. It's like they've sculpted the head of David, and then we come in and we add the chiseled body to it.
Yeah, we chiseled the dick.
And the proportionately sized penis.
Speaking of which, Kyle Long.
Oh, man, I can't believe I missed that from Monday, and I'm so glad you found that story.
Yeah. No, well, I definitely didn't go looking for it. I didn't just Google Kyle Long's dick like I do every day.
The one day you don't search for Kyle Long's penis online.
I guess I'll never see his penis.
Yeah, Tariq Cohen was live streaming. He was live streaming in the locker room, and of course you're going to catch a naked penis in the background.
Yeah, every single time. What do you expect?
Why are here's the real question. Is this the first step in the direction of Antonio Brown for Tariq Cohen? Because that's where it all started for AB, right? Facebook live streaming in the locker room, and then it was, just dropped off a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. It went downhill real quick. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not for Tariq Cohen. I don't want another Antonio Brown situation. I don't think any of us.
No.
Do. Although it's very good for our business.
Yeah, but and
maybe we do want that.
Yeah, but Tariq's not good enough yet for it to be as big of a deal.
No.
It's been kind of, I don't know what's going on with the Bears offense, but he's kind of underutilized right now, I feel like. But that was – I'll take as many naked football players online as we can get for comedy purposes.
Also, I know we talked about it in the video, but people were saying that Kyle Long – and, I'm just repeating what they said because – to me, this is slanderous, uncalled for, just downright mean-spirited. They were saying that Kyle Long has a not-so-long dong.
Yeah,
and
which still isn't short, but not so long.
I just wanted to say that he has a very probably above-average penis, and anyone that has a penis in the same ballpark as Kyle Long is doing fine. And stop asking me.
Yeah, I think he went on the Pardon My Take podcast, and I think he made a bunch of pretty funny jokes.
To address the situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Mahomes going to make a ton of money.
Yeah, we all expected it.
So it's Mahomes and Prescott at this point. We're both going to get massive contracts.
Yep.
Both teams probably trying to get a deal done as soon as possible. And then both quarterbacks are probably just like, we'll wait. I'll wait this out. It's just insane. Obviously, Mahomes deserves it. It looks like Prescott deserves it right now, but the Cowboys have played a bunch of easy teams. We'll get to that later. But Mahomes, Brady, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Marcus Mariota, none have thrown picks yet. Mariota, the only surprise on that list. Who do you think throws their first pick in that group?
All right, so Mahomes has the Lions this week.
And Brady, these are quarterbacks who have started all three games too. Sorry.
Right. Brady has
Buffalo.
That's a good defense. Seattle has, let's take a look.
They play
the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not him. Lamar Jackson plays the Browns. Aaron Rodgers plays tonight against the Eagles. Marcus Mariota plays the Falcons. I'm going to go with Tom Brady.
Ooh, Brady against the Bills.
That's a good defense. Maybe like Tre'Davious White picks him off.
Yeah. I mean, Rodgers on a Thursday night. He's at home, though, and the Eagles' secondary has not been good. Ooh.
Here's the thing is, I don't see this necessarily as a great stat for guys like Rodgers and Mariota. I don't mind interceptions if you're taking chances. And Mariota and Rodgers just don't take chances, really.
Yeah, they're not right now.
The only time Rodgers went deep last week was on a free play.
Yeah, that's true.
And Mariota, he just doesn't throw the ball downfield, really.
Yeah. I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers just because he's playing before everybody, which I think helps to do it first.
True.
And the Eagles can bring pressure, so maybe Rodgers does that. All of those teams are winning, have a winning record, except, of course, for Mariota.
Marcus Mariota.
Interesting.
We'll talk about later.
Melvin Gordon returned to the Chargers. So he held out, Will. We all know Melvin Gordon, the running back, was holding out, wanted a new deal, did not get a new deal, probably will not be with the Chargers next season, forfeited $989,000 in salary, and could face up to $1.2 million in fines. Still will make $4.6 million this season, assuming he doesn't get any more fines. I think that number depends on how much he's actually fined, but was it worth it? What did he accomplish?
I don't know what he accomplished. I think the Chargers were a worse team without him. I think a lot of people jumped to the conclusion after the first game that the Chargers don't need Melvin Gordon, and Austin Eckler does the same exact thing, and that's just not true. Melvin Gordon is a really good running back. He's probably a top 10 running back, as far as I'm concerned. Eckler's good. He's a good complementary back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, but Melvin Gordon is better at just about everything. And to say that they weren't missing anything without him is just painfully stupid, in my opinion. And they probably beat the Lions in week 2 if they have Melvin Gordon instead of Austin Eckler, who fumbled in a big spot.
Yeah, I think like the difference there is Melvin Gordon he's a 3-down running back. That's easy to say. But like the Chargers kind of had some injury issues with Mike Williams at wide receiver. So a healthy Melvin Gordon you can have in the backfield, and then you can throw Austin Eckler out wide or flank him or whatever to get him involved in the passing game and have both of those guys on the field. Like, I think that's where you really hurt missing a guy like Gordon if you're the Chargers.
Right.
He rested his body for 4 weeks. I don't know. In terms of wear and tear, that's obviously nice, but I always worry about guys who miss time and then come back in, and because they're not – I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know if it should – I think he still has just as much chance of getting hurt is what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. I mean, he gave up $300,000 for each one of those weeks to not play.
Yeah, that is more than I would be willing to give up.
I would agree. It's pretty steep.
Okay. Also, NFL dropped its proposal for an 18-game season. Now they're going to try to force 17 games down our throats. They couldn't even get enough owners to support an 18-game season, which is kind of surprising because I thought that the whole reason 18 games was even up in the air is because the owners supported it. But maybe the owners realize none of their fucking players will do this, so let's throw 18 out there and no, we really just want to try for 17.
So we've got I'm assuming they've discarded the rule where each starter has to miss 2 weeks or whatever.
God,
that was probably the worst rule proposal in any sport ever.
Yeah, they get stupid with their greed.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, though, that they could do to make the 17-game schedule work. And I didn't read the full proposal. So if this is actually the idea, then I'm saying that I sound smart. But so each team gets 8 home games, 8 away games, and 1 neutral site game.
Oh, weird.
So each team plays either in London or Mexico City or Canada.
International neutral.
Right. Or Tokyo. Or when we invade Iran, we can play there. The Ukraine.
Ooh, yeah.
Pyongyang, North Korea, just as a sign of goodwill. Master of ceremonies, Dennis Rodman will fire the starting gun at kickoff.
And referee the game.
Yeah, and also sit in the box with Kim Jong-un. Basically what I'm saying is it's a great opportunity to grow the league.
Interesting. International. Yeah. Every team plays an international game. That is – when do the London games start? Is that week 5?
Yeah, probably pretty soon.
Yeah,
I know everybody –
I mean, there's probably one being played right now, actually. We just don't know.
Right. Yeah, because time zones.
It's impossible to say, like, what week it is in London right now, let alone pinpoint an actual time.
It could be 1992 in London, for all we know. I personally can't wait to wake up at 6:30 to see more football.
To see the Jaguars?
Yeah.
Ooh, Gardner Minshew in London, though? Now they got something.
There's going to be a lot of babies born with mustaches in London.
It's a Gardner baby. I had a Gardner baby. Okay, last piece of news before we go to all the games. Antonio Brown is no longer done with the NFL. Drew Rosenhaus said multiple teams are interested in him. And AB tweeted, "The game need me. I'm like test answers." So which teams are really interested in him? And is it concerning that NFL teams are interested in Antonio Brown, but the XFL has already come out and said they would not consider Antonio Brown? I don't know.
I don't think anyone is interested, to be honest.
Yeah, that feels like something an agent just says, so people – he's lying. He's probably lying to Antonio, saying, yes, there's some teams interested, just
I don't know if
don't do anything stupid.
I don't know if I had any respect for Drew Rosenhaus going into this, but if there was any, it's gone now.
Yeah, I think he's really tested the limits of how much Antonio Brown the world can handle.
Yeah, and then overstepped those lines repeatedly.
Every other day for the last
Also, you know, you could just study for a test instead of getting the answers. But
yeah, and if Antonio Brown gave me an answer for a test, I would just not use it.
No, yeah, I would not trust that. I think he's openly admitting to cheating while he's enrolled.
Yeah, because he went back to college or some shit.
He's doing like online classes for Central Michigan. So finally, once he gets his degree from a prestigious university like Central Michigan, he can enter the workforce.
I choose business ethics.
Yeah, the team that's interested in him is the team at Taco Bell.
Team Taco Bell. All right, Thursday Night Football. Speaking of Taco Bell, we've got Eagles at the Packers. Eagles 1-2, Packers 3-0. Green Bay is 5-point favorites at home Thursday night. Alshon Jeffrey will be back for Philly. Deshaun Jackson still out. Ronald Darby, Timmy Jernigan also out. I think Deshaun Jackson. Oh yeah, they're all out. At least whatever I read when I typed that. Also, Eagles 29th in passing defense. So, what else, Will?
Yeah, I mean, they had the 29th passing defense with Ronald Darby, who was getting abused this season. Now they lost him, so it's a situation where can the depth really be worse than what they're putting on the field to begin with? Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of like what the Broncos were doing to start this year with Isaac Adam, and then found out that they have a better corner behind him in AAF superstar Devontae Bosby.
Right.
But it's tough. You know, you don't want to lose corners the same week you're playing Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So if they don't get a pass rush quickly, it could be a long night. It's going to be tough to score against this defense. We know that already. You know, they gave up 16 points last week. Held Minnesota mostly in check week 2, and then gave up 3 points against Chicago. So it's basically them and the Patriots defense. They're jockeying for supremacy as far as NFL defenses go.
The Patriots defense, I think, is the best defense in the NFL. But
Absolutely.
Their stats right now are ridiculous because of the opponents they've played. I mean, the Steelers go in and only score 3 points.
We can go back to the Super Bowl where the Rams scored 3 points.
Right. Too. I think I saw something saying since like week 12 last year, the Patriots defense has been the most dominant defense in the NFL. But right now they're like giving up like 5.7 points a game or something. And don't get me wrong, you got to stop any offense. But with the Dolphins and the Jets with, Luke Falk, and now they play the Bills, who I think are a decent team, but
they don't score.
They're not a high, caliber offense. So I think what the Packers defense has done so far has been the most impressive because their 11.7 points is next to the Patriots. Also, they've hit with all of their free agents, Amos and the Smiths. It reminds me of when Elway landed Aqib Talib, TJ Ward, and DeMarcus Ware in the same offseason.
Right.
And you're like, oh, these feel like 3 good signings.
And then
they actually start to pan out.
Like Bryce Callahan, Kareem Jackson,
Juwan James. Like none of those guys might play for the Broncos this week. So, and Zadarius Smith has the most QB hurries at 14. Yeah. And watching the Broncos-Packers pretty closely last week.
Right. Preston Smith had 3 sacks last week.
Their edge rushers are legit. Mm-hmm. Defense is – it's going to be fun to watch if and when the Packers offense starts to click. You assume it will with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But if their offense starts to play like we would imagine, that's a very good football team.
It is, and they're getting better at corner too because Kevin King's playing better, and Jair Alexander, who wrestled that ball away from Noah Fant on Sunday, is becoming quietly one of the best corners in the NFL. It's just that, he's a homegrown talent and took a couple years to develop, and now it's really paying off. So at the same time that they're getting instant impact from their free agents, they're also getting these guys on their rookie contracts that are, finally starting to realize their potential. And it's all coming together at the same time, which results in this absolute supernova of defense that's probably going to win them the NFC North.
Yeah, and that's a crazy tough division. I think every team has a winning record right now. And usually like teams that come out of strong divisions make it into the playoffs, I feel like fare better. I don't have any statistical data to back that up, but just by having to play tough opponents all season long.
Right. That's why. Yeah. No. That's why the Patriots won the Super Bowl last year.
Well, they're the exception because they get the easy road.
Yeah.
They're also still just a really good football team.
I think what we've discovered is you want to either have a really, really hard division that you win, or a really, really easy division that doesn't beat you up too much, so you're fresh for the postseason.
Anything in between is bullshit.
Yeah. You don't want any 8-8 teams in your division, like in the AFC West every year.
Right. You know what's crazy is so the Packers only 11.7 points per game. Also, they lead the league with 8 takeaways so far this season. And you would assume giving Aaron Rodgers that many extra possessions would result in a bunch of Packers offensive points. Hasn't happened yet, but if it does, watch out is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's an opportunistic defense, and they're playing complementary football because the offense last week, they scored on a free play, which is a mistake by the defense that they took advantage of. They scored off of a turnover, the Flacco fumble inside the 10, and then they scored off of that Noah Fant fumble.
Yep.
And then their field goal came off of another turnover, the Flacco interception. So
yeah, and those touchdowns were both rushing touchdowns, so that's why it's not like it just doesn't – that didn't fall into Aaron Rodgers' stats. You know what I mean? But the Packers just – their offense went down and executed after every single Broncos turnover. So it's like – it's one of those things where you say waiting for them to come together. It's like they played smart, sound football last week. It just wasn't a statistical like compared to other teams like where the fucking Chiefs are throwing 4 touchdowns. Like the Packers aren't having to do that. And They're just rushing the
Well,
ball
this is
in.
arguably a more sustainable way of winning football
more
games.
balanced, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and it's working for them. So I'm taking the Packers tonight.
Yeah, I will too.
I'm generally always going to take the home team on Thursday night games. And
this is week 4, and this is how like dumb my brain already is because we do these picks, and I've completely forgotten about the home advantage for Thursday night football, and you exploited that.
I did.
You got me. I ain't making that
mistake.
That's why
I'm leading in picks this year.
We're both taking the Packers, so on to Washington versus the Giants.
No Saquon Barkley, has a high ankle sprain, but he's not going to need surgery, so that's good news. Jordan Reed is probably still concussed and probably will always be, but for some reason they're going to bring him back eventually.
So they're
sounds
saying
like a terrible idea.
His career's not done, but we'll see. I feel bad for Jordan Reed, but
I do too.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Finish.
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, Jay Gruden said that he basically came out and said that Case Keenum's going to get another chance, and it wouldn't be fair to pull him while he's still getting a feel for the offense and while a bunch of important players like Donald Penn and Terry McLaurin and Eric Flowers are still getting acclimated to this offense too. I think what that means is they don't trust Dwayne Haskins with the playbook yet.
Right.
Essentially. And Colt McCoy. Case Keenum has not been playing terribly. He had 3 pretty ugly turnovers against the Bears, but he's scoring. He's got 7 touchdowns through 3 games. He's got great chemistry with their third-round wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, who's got 5 catches and a touchdown in each of the first 3 games. Looks like probably the best rookie receiver at this point, despite being mostly like a special teams project coming into the draft. But it turns out, he's become their de facto number 1 wide receiver, kind of everything they expected Josh Doxson to become and never did.
Right.
But at this point, I don't think we're going to see his college teammate, Dwayne Haskins, yet because, they didn't put him in last week because they're playing the Bears, and you're probably going to do your rookie quarterback a disservice. I don't think you want to put him in on the road either, but I think it comes down to he doesn't quite have a grasp of the offense like Case Keenum does.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you have to assume Jay Gruden is trying to figure out what is actually best for Dwayne Haskins because that might be the only thing Jay Gruden's coaching for.
Exactly, yeah. The only way he saves his job is Dwayne Haskins comes in near the end of the season and looks really good and promising, and somehow they convince Trent Williams to come back.
Yeah,
it's fire Dan Snyder and find a new groundskeeper that keeps the players from all tearing their ACLs. It's a lot of things that need to happen basically for Washington to be good again.
Yeah, and I think you're right probably about Haskins. I feel like the Giants would be a great defense for a young quarterback to make his debut against.
They would.
But we've got Daniel Jones playing in his second game. First time at home.
Talk about Daniel Jones.
He played a lot better than I imagined he would. He also got a couple lucky breaks, but I have to credit you. Last week said the big difference will be Daniel Jones, a lot more mobile than people think, can make plays with his legs. And goddamn it, Will, he rushed for 2 touchdowns, was a huge difference because he could do that. And the craziest thing, I feel like this Saquon Barkley injury, which is significant, all of a sudden doesn't feel like a huge deal for the Giants because they're on the high of Daniel Jones playing so well, week 1. If you're a Giants fan, you got to feel a lot better than you did when the draft happened and it was the instant disaster.
How quickly has that narrative gone away?
Oh, it's disappeared.
He was the laughing stock of the draft, and now it's like that never happened. It's like, well, maybe you should have been taken number one.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, let's give him, 2 more games and then compare Kyler Murray's first 3 games to his. And
let's do it. He's probably got more rushing yards at this point. Yeah, I know he has more rushing touchdowns.
It's kind of crazy. It's one of the things I love about football, though, is everything is so reactionary. And that's, I guess, what we try to, like, capitalize on in terms of making jokes about.
And also avoid
doing serious analysis of a draft right after it happens because we know how
we know it's stupid and there's no point. But also there's like people that like hunger for those kind of takes. And so basically we're exploiting our audience while actually informing them correctly. Right.
We're doing the Lord's work.
Essentially, yeah. But America's racism was exposed last week for thinking that a white quarterback couldn't run effectively.
Yeah.
And so
America's racism Jones proved them wrong.
Right. Tampa Bay's defense forgot to put a quarterback spy on him because he's just some skinny white guy from Duke.
Didn't spy on him.
It won't happen again. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah. Luckily, he gets Josh Norman this weekend. I think I'm gonna take the Giants. Whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Giants.
I'm gonna take the Redskins.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I think
my gut says Washington.
Yeah, I think they're 0-3 and they've been playing better than your typical 0-3 team. I think they'll find a way to pull it out. But I'm excited to see Daniel Jones play again. He's turned Evan Ingram into one of the most viable fantasy tight end options in the league. I like everything that he does for this offense, and the Giants are fun to watch again for the first time in a long time.
Right. And then after this week, they get Golden Tate back, right? So
right, yeah. So
that should be interesting.
So they get Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate on the outside, and then when you add in Evan Ingram, that's a pretty formidable receiving core.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing was Barkley was hurt most of that game last week, and which really, I mean, that forces you to ask a lot of your first time starting quarterback, and he handled that pressure well. So I'll stick with the Giants.
You're taking the Giants. I'm taking the Redskins. We'll probably have to pick up the pace on these games a little bit. I got Kansas City at Detroit. I'm taking Kansas City. I'm assuming you are too.
I'll take the Chiefs. They're 6.5-point favorites.
6.5. Detroit is 2-0-1. They're technically undefeated. They played really well against Philadelphia on the road.
Yeah.
I know they were missing a lot of pieces on Philly's offense, but that was an impressive win, I think.
Detroit's a scrappy team right now.
That should be 3-0.
I think is like coming together as the team I think Matt Patricia wanted to make. And last year was not good for him or that team. But I think if they can finish this season with just, say, a winning record, that the Lions have a lot to build on and don't have to fire their head coach.
Yeah, and technically 8-7-1 is a winning record for them.
Exactly. So they would be in the same position as the Browns from last year.
The Browns were 7-8-1. Don't worry.
Oh, so one better.
They didn't even have a winning record.
Right.
They're talking all that shit. So yeah, we're both taking the Chiefs.
We'll take the Chiefs. Yeah. Well. Oh, yeah, here's what – the Detroit Lions, their defense looks pretty good. I'm curious to see how they play against Kansas City, who's scoring only the third most points per game behind Baltimore and New England. So that was the only stat I wanted to mention. I thought the Chiefs would have the second highest scoring offense, but it's third. Okay, Titans-Falcons.
Titans-Falcons, like you called it, the disappointment bowl. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Falcons are 1-2. Titans are 1-2. My question is, after how Marcus Mariota played on Thursday last week against the Jags, should we be on Ryan Tannehill watch?
I don't know, man. I can't figure out Mariota.
Is this a better team with Ryan Tannehill, I guess, is what I'm asking.
It might be from start to finish. Because didn't Mariota have like a decent second half last week? I don't know.
He's getting sacked 16% of his dropbacks.
That's the problem. It's like I know their line hasn't been as good in pass protection.
A lot of it's Mariota too.
A lot of it is him holding onto the ball and taking unnecessary sacks. Some of it's not his fault. I know a lot of Titans fans really love him, but I guess
I'm not sure why. I mean, he's a really good guy.
I think if you go 1-3, then you have nothing to lose by switching with Tannehill. You know what I mean?
In a division that's winnable too.
Right. I think this would be a huge road win for Tennessee. Both these teams are kind of in a, I don't want to say desperate situation, but both are underperforming. The Falcons, every other week, I think they're bad, and then they're good, then they're bad again. I think they're bad again, so I'm going to pick them to win.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons at home as well. I mean, they've been their own type of disappointing this year, just because Matt Ryan's turning the ball over a lot more than usual, especially more than he has the last 3 years. But I think Devontae Freeman's been a huge disappointment. He's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry this year. They let Tevin Coleman go. Who knows how he'd be playing or if he'd be healthy in this offense. But it doesn't feel like they have a lot of options out of the backfield. Ito Smith is hurt.
Oh, is he hurt? I was just going to say they need to get more Ito Smith in there.
They're not very fast right now coming out of the backfield. Not a lot of – because Tevin Coleman was the receiving threat and really changed the way that offense worked. And now all they really have is go to Julio Jones, which is admittedly a pretty good option, but it's one-dimensional.
Calvin Ridley disappeared last week. I guess I'm not sure it's his fault, but the zone defensive coverage, he couldn't figure out how to get open in that. I was reading something about it. Wasn't saying whether it was his fault or the offensive coordinator for not figuring out how to utilize him better. I think he only had one target last week. So I think Atlanta gets Ridley and Julio more involved together. They've had success when both of those guys are kind of, a threat. And if your only threat is Julio Jones, then the point you just made, there's not a lot coming out of the backfield. So it really makes that offense limited. Although Austin Hooper scored a shit ton of fantasy points last week. I only know that because he was on my bench. So I didn't watch enough of that game to speak intelligently on it. But we both take the Falcons?
We're taking the Falcons.
All right. Browns, Ravens. Not really an interesting game for me anymore. Baltimore
fairly interesting. I think
7-point favorites at home.
This is kind of a breaking point game for the Browns because they hung in there against the Rams and with a Sunday Night Football audience, but they kind of crapped the bed when it mattered most. I think people are realizing that Freddie Kitchens was a fucking terrible choice to be the head coach of this team. This was the first time in the recorded history of the NFL, according to ESPN, that a team has run a draw play on 4th and 9.
Yeah, he got hammered.
Pretty indefensible. I mean, if it worked, they would have called him a genius, obviously. But the thing about running a draw play on 4th and 9 is it's probably not going to work.
No, you do that on 3rd and 9.
Yeah, no, that's – or 2nd and 9, 1st and 9 even.
The draw play is on whatever down and long, the draw play is this is 95% chance this is not going to work.
We're setting the punt, yeah.
We're probably going to get some yards back for the punt we got to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that was to me, that kind of reminds me of like Mike Shanahan's offense. I felt like when the Broncos were in a bad spot on 3rd down, it was always a draw play, and they just settled for the punt, regrouped. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but that's kind of what it felt like to me.
Do you think Okay, here's my theory. Do you think Freddie Kitchens just thought it was 3rd and 9?
I wouldn't
And then
doubt it.
what's more embarrassing though, calling a draw on 4th and 9 or admitting that you didn't know what down it was?
Equal.
I think they're both equally pretty bad.
I just made a bad call on 4th down. I say at least there you appear to be paying attention to the game, and maybe you had an idea. Like, I can forgive that more than
it's like, oh, we saw something on tape.
What down it is.
No, it's easier to get away with saying I made a bad call because, like, oh, well, we saw a tendency in their defense when we were studying them on film. It's like,
you can make up
anything.
Like,
oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's like, yeah, well, they dropped the linebacker in the coverage here, 85% of the time. We were playing the percentages. Although I'm sure Freddie Kitchens doesn't strike me as a guy who plays the percentages in anything.
Nah, he doesn't seem like he's no Goodwill Hunting.
No, indeed. But so they screwed up there. They couldn't cover Cooper Kupp, and they had 1st and goal inside the 10, and they couldn't do it. Baker couldn't punch it in. It felt like, with all the pieces on their offense, with Njoku and Beckham and Landry, on 4th down, they threw the ball to Taylor Ratley. So that it sounds like they don't know what they're doing on offense. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know who to go to. They don't have a guy that's going to step up when someone's being double covered. They're just not a very organized offense.
They have no leader of men.
No. And speaking of people that have been making their offensive line look worse than it is, it's not just Marcus Mariota, it's Baker Mayfield too. And understandably so, because Aaron Donald was really ruining that game for him, and he was backpedaling for his life. And it probably didn't call any plays that helped him in that scenario, but he's not making his offensive line look any better, and he's bailing out of plays really quickly, throwing off his back foot a lot, and it doesn't help.
No, that's why I'm picking the Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens too.
That's why I think the Ravens can beat you a lot of ways. Mark Ingram, I think he won like ground player of the week in the AFC or some shit.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs.
They're averaging over 200 rushing yards a game. That stat's starting to be a little impressive after 3 weeks of football now.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson did not play great against Kansas City.
He got bailed out a couple times by his receivers.
Right. But, I mean, he still did. Great. He wasn't accurate. He did some crazy impressive things, got a little lucky, got more of what I feel like is going to be an average Lamar Jackson game. But I just think the Ravens are a pretty good team. So we both.
Yeah, I think they showed us that his first 2 games were more of an aberration and owed to the fact that they're playing 2 of the worst teams in the NFL than an indicator of what his actual season is going to turn into.
Yeah,
which will probably be roughly average, maybe slightly above average.
Yeah, the Ravens defense hasn't been like quite as good as I think we're used to seeing.
Well, I mean, just look at it. Like Zadarius Smith is playing excellent football.
Yeah, they lost guys.
C.J. Mosley, barely played this year, but when he did play, he looked like the best player on the field for the Jets.
Smith, Mosley, Suggs,
yeah.
And Eric Weddle. Right. I think Jimmy Smith has been hurt as well.
He has, yeah.
So if they get Jimmy Smith back, and maybe I feel like the Ravens are actually a team Jalen Ramsey would make sense
exactly.
to go to.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Once his flu back pregnancy goes.
But I think for the Ravens to be a serious like playoff threat, they have to have a top 10 defense like all around. And if their defense is really good, then Lamar Jackson can be great for them. But he feels like a quarterback who's always going to need just that little extra help from his defense to prolong like winning year in and year out. But
also, we should give them credit too for coming back in that game
against
Arrowhead.
Kansas. Yeah, I mean, Kansas City is they got worked early and they fought back. I think they get back into the win column this week, and I think they'll be in the playoffs. But And mostly because it looks like their division is shit. That
That
division
helps.
I thought might be pretty good looks like shit.
One win outside of the Ravens, and it
So,
belongs to the Browns, who played the Jets. So
yeah.
make it half a win. Okay, Carolina Panthers at the Houston Texans. This is a pretty good game.
Yeah, I
think, like this.
Man, Kyle Allen, he played good.
He was awesome. He threw 4 touchdowns for the Panthers.
Against the Cardinals, right? So
against the Cardinals, not a great defense, but he looked good. Christian McCaffrey ripped off a long touchdown. He looks better than ever. This offense just looked so much more competent and so much just – I don't know. It worked well. Like, the impressive part about Kyle Allen was he was putting the ball in the receiver's hands so that they could make a play after the catch. He was letting Curtis Samuel get involved, and DJ Moore was getting involved. And it's like, this is how this offense was supposed to be when they drafted all these fast guys. Yeah. And it runs better with a quarterback who's accurate enough to let them get yards after the catch. Cam Newton's not that. It looks like Kyle Allen is. And
the thing
we'll see how he looks against the better defense, I guess.
Yeah. And the thing with Cam, I think, is he's had injuries. So, and they've been serious injuries that he probably shouldn't have tried to play through. I don't think it's fair to question Cam Newton's like toughness, because I think he's incredibly tough. He's taken some of the most brutal shots and continue to play through it as a quarterback. But even Cam Newton, when he's good, you still question the accuracy and the ball placement from him.
Well, it's not a surprise. He throws predominantly with his shoulders,
right,
and his arm as opposed to his feet.
Yeah, and that's he's a giant, strong man, and he's never had to use he's the kind of guy who can just do this and the ball goes like 50 yards. So as you get old, I think those things get exposed a little bit in the NFL.
And it turns out that's pretty stressful on your shoulder.
Yeah, here's what I thought was crazy is I can't remember who it was. They were talking about Kyle Allen, and it was an NFL former NFL player and an analyst, and they're saying well, a guy like Kyle Allen, he's just listening to what the coach is telling him to do. Maybe it was Deion Sanders, because it sounded like it. He's like, coach is telling him what to do on the earpiece. He's listening to what the coach wants him to do, so that's why he's not making any mistakes. You got an old guy in there like Cam Newton. He ain't going to always do what the coach tells him to do, and that's why this offense is working better, is because Kyle Allen's listening to Norv Turner is basically what it boiled down to. And the longer Deion Sanders talked on the NFL Network, not at the NFL Network, seeming like he doesn't even want to be fucking part of the NFL Network. I'm like, why are they still letting this guy talk after every game? But those hair plugs are seeping into his brain. He's like, he seems angry that he's on TV, right? And then his analysis always is just
garbage.
It sucks.
Yeah, it is really it is mind-boggling when you take into account how much they make versus extremely informed, good take artists like ourselves,
right?
Who work who burn the midnight oil trying to give the kind listener a little bit of content each and every day to make their life better. Yeah,
he was trying to say Kyle Allen might not be that good, but he played good because he listened to his coach.
I mean, okay.
All right, Deion. And if I got that wrong, don't look it up. But that's what I felt like when I heard it. All right, so
I'm still gonna take the Texans. I think they played well.
Watson's also very good.
He's also very good because he listens to his coaches.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Panthers.
Yeah.
I got to catch up to you.
Bill O'Brien to Deshaun Watson. Throw a touchdown here.
There you go.
And he did. Good call, Coach.
I'll take Panthers. You take Texans. I need to catch up because you keep beating me on the weekly predictions. And last week I tried to take games that you didn't take, and it cost me again. But
yeah, and another shout out to the guy who's keeping track of wins and losses for us. Raiders at Colts. I think the Colts are a couple of Vinatieri misses from being 3-0. They probably should be 3-0. And Jacoby Brissett's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Completed his first 16 passes last week against the Falcons. He's got 7 touchdowns, only 1 pick. His completion percentage is 71, and he's got an 112 rating. They're really not missing out. I mean, he's got it. Like, they're in good hands, and he's on a cheap deal. It's really a pretty good scenario for the Colts right now. I don't think there's a ton of people, at least now. I mean, in the long run, I'd definitely rather have Andrew Luck, but right now, they're not torn up about Andrew Luck retiring.
No, not from a production perspective.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think Jacoby Brissett playing well makes me more happy than any other QB playing well right now. Like,
I agree.
For the Colts fan base to be shocked by the departure of Andrew Luck, for Jacoby Brissett is this player who, was drafted by the Patriots, backed up Brady there, then got sent over to Indy, played good football, and then when Luck was out, was kind of a mixed bag. But with Frank, I think this speaks to like what Frank Reich means as a head coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
What he did with the Colts last year, and now what he's doing right now, like the Colts didn't get Josh McDaniels worked out. The Patriots gifted them Jacoby Brissett, which is working out. And Brissett's like, I don't know. I feel like he's a guy who can make throws anywhere on the field he's going to be safe most of the time, but I don't know. It's just I'm rooting for this story to continue is my point.
Yeah. The only drawback this week is they might not have T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of huge.
Week. That is a big thing.
That's kind of huge.
He's been Brissett's most reliable target, but everything else is clicking, and while things are falling apart for the Raiders. So I'm gonna take the Colts in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Colts too. We don't even need to mention the Raiders.
Nope.
Sorry, Raiders fans.
Okay, the game of the week, in my opinion.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
The New England Patriots at the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. We're all Bills fans this week, so break out your tables and jump off, a 20-story skyscraper into this table. Don't actually do that. What I'm trying to say is we all want the Bills to beat the Patriots.
Yeah, and this is the first game of the season where it feels like the Patriots' opponents can be competitive.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, a skyscraper would be more than 20 stories, so don't leave any fucking comments.
Hey, Will, I'm an architect
my lack
major,
of architectural knowledge.
And what you just described is a hotel at best.
Yeah.
A hotel in Buffalo, not like a New York hotel or a Vegas hotel.
That should be a mid-rise building. Thank you very much.
Right. Also, very fascinating. You can bet on whether or not a dildo will be thrown on the field in this game.
You know it's going to be a skyscraper? My dick when the Bills beat the Patriots.
It is shined like she has never shined before.
Yeah. Same with Kyle Long. Very normal dick haver.
Yeah. I think the Patriots will win.
I do too.
So I'm going to pick the Patriots.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see this game because
I am too.
We talked about the Packers and who's that other fucking team with a good defense? The Patriots. Yeah, Patriots and the Packers have two of the best defenses. But I think the Bills are definitely in that conversation right now. Not that they've played the toughest of opponents necessarily. Beat the Bengals, the Giants, and the Jets. But, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And if they keep New England to roughly like 24 points, I think they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're the Bills and they walk away with like a 24-17 loss or something, you kind of feel good about that.
Yeah, you have to.
Patriots have scored over 30 points every game, right?
Right. Not that they've been playing super tough opponents either. Because they haven't.
Let's see here. Yeah, Patriots 33 points, 30 against the Jets last week. So the Bills, even if you don't win, you can't let them score 30 points.
Right. And the Patriots defense still has not given up a touchdown this year. The Jets scored 2 touchdowns last week, but one of them was a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and the other was a pick six off of Jared Stidham.
Yeah, who New England has already brought in Cody Kessler.
Right.
It's like one pick six, or like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah, and the preseason is like, okay, this is the guy that's going to take over for Brady when he retires. Yeah. And now it's, well, now we need Cody Kessler on this team.
Yeah, I think Bill is just pissed off at his real replacement, Jacoby Brissett, is in Indy. So
right, yeah, and and his other replacement, Jimmy Garoppolo, is 3-0 in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both taking the Patriots. We want desperately for the Bills to win, but we have a fundamental sense of history, so we're taking the Pats. Chargers at Dolphins. How much do we really need to say about this game? The Chargers are favored by 16.5, which is a lot less than the Patriots and the Cowboys were favored against the Dolphins. But apparently they saw something last week that gives them a chance to keep it within 3 scores.
Yeah, I think the caveat here, Will, is the Chargers have not won a game at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami ever. The last time they beat the Dolphins in Miami was 1981, which was a playoff game in the Orange Bowl. Yeah,
that was that playoff game that the longest game ever played, or whatever they call it.
Was it? Was that a Dan Fouts game?
Yeah, it was like the Dan Fouts Kellen Winslow game.
Shit! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that streak ends this weekend. I'll take the Chargers.
I should say, okay, so Josh Rosen played a lot better than the stats would bear out last week because he had a couple drop touchdowns.
Yeah, I saw one of those today.
And I think he moved the ball a little bit better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I think eventually it looked like they were threatening to keep it interesting last week. And then they're one of those teams where one thing goes wrong and everything goes wrong and it snowballs because they just don't have the talent to keep up generally.
The Dolphins might get a win this season, Will. It's just not happening against the Chargers.
No, it's not. Chargers are not getting back Melvin Gordon this week. He's coming back next week to, of course, play the fucking Broncos. Perfect timing. Yep. And that's all we have to say about that game. We're both taking the Chargers.
Yeah.
Okay, another Florida team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are playing the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are favored by 10. Buccaneers offense looked a lot better last week. Mike Evans had 3 touchdowns. Jameis Winston looks like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and by knew what he was doing is just throw the ball to Mike Evans.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. They might not have Chris Godwin this week, so that that could stifle their offense a little bit. But they're starting
to Mike Evans.
And they're starting to use O.J. Howard a little bit too, which they should be doing.
They're a developing team, Tampa Bay.
They absolutely are, and they shot themselves in the foot really last week. And by they, I mean Bruce Arians, for deliberately taking a penalty to move a game-winning kick back 5 yards for a kicker that had already missed 2 extra points.
Yeah, bad move.
Matt Gay, the kicker who I mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round,
right,
missed 2 extra points and the game-winning field goal against the Giants. The kick would have been good from 5 yards closer.
That's 5 points right there. And again, Daniel Jones had a pick 6 dropped by Tampa Bay. So they were close to winning that game, but that was the Giants. The Rams defense is better than that. I do not like Jameis Winston against Aaron Donald. And the only way you can even contain Aaron Donald is with the double team every play, because I saw a stat that said he wins 73% of his matchups if not double teamed.
Yeah, pretty good.
And I think Jameis Winston plays bad football when he is under duress, and I feel like he's going to be
okay.
But maybe, I mean, the Rams haven't gotten a lot out of Jared Goff yet this season either. So
no, and that's the scary part because they're still 3-0.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think I wrote that they're 0-3, but they're definitely 3-0.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple of thoughts on this game, and the first one is that a lot of people on Sunday night when the Rams were playing were saying that Aaron Donald is the best football player they've ever seen. And while that might be factually true, you're a fucking nerd if you think Aaron Donald is the best player you've ever seen. You should be talking about a quarterback or a wide receiver or running back. If you say that a defensive tackle is like your favorite football player or like the best guy you've ever seen play football, you're a nerd.
You're a football nerd for sure.
You need to change the way you're thinking and drink a beer or have sex or something and watch the game from a cooler person's perspective and say that, have a good take. Like Randy Moss is the best football player I've ever seen.
I don't know, man. Aaron Donald's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's such a nerd answer to say Aaron Donald's the best player you've ever seen.
I think it became not a nerd answer when he was training with a guy who had knives in his hands.
Those were fake knives. So it's still a nerd. It's a nerd ass.
Do we know that? They look pretty real to me.
You're sounding like a nerd yourself, Brandon.
Well, I'm not getting laid a lot, drinking the beers. I am drinking a lot.
You just drink whiskey, though.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I had beers this week at the Greta Van Fleet concert, and
right.
They gave me a headache. The beer did.
Right. The Led Zeppelin cover band.
Dude, they're so good. They are so good. Oh, my God.
I've just heard the Safari song. That's pretty good.
Yeah. They are.
I could just listen to Led Zeppelin, too.
Yeah, but you can't go see Led Zeppelin, can you?
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take the Rams, though.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams as well. We've got a few more games. I guess we'll try to get through those pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Seahawks at Cardinals. Seahawks are favored by 5. I'm taking the Seahawks.
Yes, me
the
too.
Cardinals haven't been atrocious. They just don't quite figure out how to win.
They don't. There's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
Seahawks are the better team. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, a good matchup for Russell Wilson against a struggling defense. And Russell Wilson played really, really well, too, against the Saints. But, I mean, they lost the game because Chris Carson fumbled. And
he's fumbled every week so far. So you would expect his workload to maybe lessen, but I think Rashad Penny's having a hamstring issue. I don't know how serious that is, but a fumble every week for running back is a sure way to find yourself on the bench at some point.
Definitely.
Even if Pete Carroll's your head coach.
Right.
So, we'll both take the Seahawks.
If you have Russell Wilson on your fantasy team, definitely start him this week.
Yes.
Because
then we've got
4 touchdowns against the Cardinals last week.
I had him started. Oh, I set the perfect FanDuel lineup last week, and it was just for my Patreon Friends League. So
you didn't make any money off
I didn't make any money. I won $30 overall, but anyway.
Good,
Vikings, Bears, Chicago, 3-point favorites. This is a good game.
They look good. They look good on Monday night. Taylor Gabriel was the first Bear to have 3 touchdowns in a quarter since Gale Sayers, which was roughly 100 years ago.
Nice stat.
So this is – my question is, it's not exactly a primetime game, but it's like one of those late afternoon games where it's probably going to be Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. There's going to be a lot of people watching. It's going to be the Fox game of the week, and it's on the road. So what I'm saying is Kirk Cousins probably going to shit the bed, right?
Right. This is everything is basically going against Kirk Cousins in this game. Yeah,
except for the undying love of his wife, Julie.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very
they love each other. I'm going to pick the Vikings, though. Because the Bears, as good as I think that defense actually is, the one area they struggled against the Broncos was stopping the run. They gave up 144 rushing yards to Lindsey and Freeman. And I think Dalvin Cook, you could argue, as the best running back in the NFL right now. And
I think you'd be right.
I think that's going to cost Chicago this game, even if Kirk doesn't play great.
Well, she may not. It might be another one of those games where he only throws the ball 10 times and they win.
Yeah. I had a dream that the Vikings cut Stephon Diggs, so I don't know what that means.
And he went to the Patriots?
probably. But give me the Vikes.
Yeah, I'll take the Vikings too.
Cool.
Jaguars at the Broncos. The Broncos, despite being 0-3, are favored by 3 points at home. We should say Calais Campbell is donating $20,000 to Denver charity.
Very classy, Calais.
That's nice of him. Probably
the $20,000 John Elway didn't want to pay him to sign with the Broncos.
Yeah, probably $4,000 for each sack he's going to have this week.
Fuck. Yeah, I do not feel good about that. Well, Jalen Ramsey probably not there, so that helps the Broncos defense a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause he's got a flu and he's got back problems and he's pregnant. So,
but the Jags front seven that's just a big mismatch for the Broncos offensive line, who's already struggling.
It is, yeah. They've got a lot of mismatches up front with, Josh Allen looks like he's going to be really good. So he's probably going to go against Elijah Wilkinson. And then you hope that the matchup inside is Dalton Reisner against Calais Campbell, because that's really their only hope.
Yeah.
Because Reisner might be like the second or third best player on the team right now.
Do you just have Dalton Reisner follow Calais Campbell?
Yeah, that would be hilarious. He's playing tackle this play, and then he's playing center, and then
I wouldn't be mad if they tried that.
Honestly, we might be ahead of the curve here.
Yeah, shit. Will and I should be coaches. I'll reveal my pick for this game in tomorrow's Broncos Jags specialty episode.
I've picked the Broncos every week this year, and they've contributed to 3 of my losses. So I'm going to take the Jags.
Ooh, I'm going to catch you on this one. Spoiler alert. Will takes the Jags. I'll talk a lot about this game tomorrow.
Yep.
Sunday Night Football might be a good one. Cowboys, Saints, Dallas, 3-point favorites on the road. You've got Teddy Bridgewater starting again. Taysom Hill was not used the way I thought he might be every other play. Bridgewater was very efficient, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. However, I think there may be an issue of him winning in this game because he did not throw the ball downfield much. He had 2 passes that were complete after 10 yards, and they were for 11 and 13. His deepest attempt was only 18 yards. That works a little bit because you can just throw the ball short to Alvin Kamara. But when you've got a guy like Michael Thomas on the roster, I think the Cowboys are a better overall offense than the Seahawks. So the Saints, I think, are going to have to be more competitive scoring earlier in this game. Well, I mean, they scored a lot early against the Seahawks, but what I'm saying is, I think the Cowboys are going to score as well. I don't know. Yeah,
they're going to have to keep up. I think they might be able to get away with it until Breeze comes back, and just kind of rely on the short passing game and hope Alvin Kamara breaks a few tackles, or they can get in rhythm a little bit with Michael Thomas and Jared Cook at tight end.
Right, because you're basically just trying to be safe right now with your quarterback play. Don't beat yourself, right?
And then maybe Taysom Hill comes in and throws an 85-yard touchdown pass and then goes to the bench again. But ironically, the 1 week America would want to watch Cowboys-Giants on Sunday Night Football, we're not getting it.
Yeah, it's
I think this would be the only week after Daniel Jones played so well that I think America would, open their arms to the Cowboys and the Giants.
This game would be, I feel like, really awesome if Drew Brees was playing. I'd be very excited to watch this game because with Drew Brees in the lineup, you're pretty certain the Saints are a good football team. The Cowboys have had a very easy schedule so far. This is their biggest challenge. It's kind of like the Cowboys and Patriots are similar right now, where they both look like unstoppable teams, but they've both played fucking terrible opponents, which is probably a nice way to ease into the football season as well. Maybe Dak Prescott should have signed his contract this week, but Saints.
I don't think the week-to-week performance is affecting the value of his contract, but
no, I know, but I like to think it does, Will.
Yeah, true. It's like he throws.
You want to
2
sign
picks,
it after
like,
your
all right,
best game.
We'll give you 5 years, $25 million, and that's our final offer.
I don't know. Jerry Jones is crazy enough where he could bring in Dak Prescott after each win and be like, "You just earned $5 million extra." And then this week he's like, "You just lost $5 million, Dak. You want to sign now?"
I think he's going to give him like one of those big novelty checks.
Here you go.
There you go.
It's going to be bigger than the Dallas Jumbotron. That's all I promise you, Dak.
Going to be $300 million over the next 15 years. It's just turning into a George Bush impression, really.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Cowboys, though.
I'm going to take the Saints.
Final game, Monday Night Football.
Dun, 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 dun. We've got 2-3 teams. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, man.
Nobody's going to watch.
This is a bad game.
It's so bad. It's been bad every single week.
Man, it's like the Bengals are similar to the Broncos where –
yeah, they haven't been atrocious.
They've been competitive in their 3 losses. They have a new head.
Yeah, the 49ers game was really bad, but
right. And the 49ers game was kind of close with the Steelers, but the 49ers also really worked the Steelers. Mason Rudolph did not – he was the only young quarterback who did not look – well, I guess Luke Falk didn't look good either.
No.
James Conner's not playing well.
No one's really playing well in this offense except for Juju Smith-Schuster had a long touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals on the road.
I think I'm going to take the Steelers.
Cool. I could make up some real ground this week.
Just for some variety here.
I'm going to bet on my guy I like to make fun of, Andy Dalton.
Maybe that's a good pick. I don't know.
That goes against everything I believe in because I talked a lot of shit about Andy Dalton.
Do you think if Minkah Fitzpatrick became available a week later and the Steelers were 0-3 coming off a loss against San Francisco as opposed to 0-2, do you think they still make that trade?
If it was this week, basically?
Knowing that they're 0-3.
I don't know. They traded for a tight end this week. I don't know what they're doing. Like,
I don't think they have any experience in like sucking right out of the gate. They don't know how to deal with it.
They've gotten rid of 3 of their draft picks for next year. So they're without their first, third, and fifth now?
Yeah. And
if they could finish having a top 10 pick this year, they obviously don't believe that. But
because they're in denial.
I mean, they got the 10th pick last year with Devin Bush after trading with the Broncos. Yeah, I don't know, man. If they get Big Ben back, even he didn't look good, but maybe that elbow was already hurt. Been kind of hurt for a while.
Well, imagine if they are the 5th worst team in football, and there's a chance that they could get Justin Herbert at the 5th pick, but they don't have a first-round pick because they traded it for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Mason Rudolph proved that he's not the answer. How stupid would they look?
They're going to look dumb if the Dolphins have the 1st and 5th overall pick. Then all of a sudden,
the Dolphins
don't look so crazy.
And Justin Herbert.
Ooh, and then you trade one of those quarterbacks for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Then both the Dolphins and the Steelers look smart again. It's just like the 70s, baby. The Dolphins and Steelers are dominating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's
wow, I really fixed everybody's problem there.
That's everybody. Yeah. No, yeah, why? Please, someone hire us.
No, the Dolphins with the 1st and 5th overall pick start calling to see if the Steelers are interested in acquiring Josh Rosen.
Honestly, I'd like to see Josh Rosen on the Steelers as opposed to the Dolphins.
He deserves something better than that, but
yeah.
All right, I'll take Bengals. You take Steelers, and
the Steelers.
That will end our podcast.
That's our week of football.
We did it good.
So check in to see how we did next week. Thanks to all the people on Blue Wire that listened.
Yes. So good of you to spare your whole day.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for listening to That's Good Sports Podcast. We do care greatly about your butts.